Okay. I'm going to start off very quickly to give you my piece on it. Now, every time I've tried to do this, I talk a lot. And it doesn't work because it's hard to actually try and put myself into my son's head. I'm going to try and do it with 2 or 3 slides to give you some perspective. And please, I'm a parent. It's from a parent's perspective. I'm not a scientist. I'm sorry, Linda. And if I'm making scientific errors, Linda will pull me up on them. But it's purely from a parent's perspective, from what I perceive. Me is my son, and he sits in the middle, and that's his space. Around him, he has an area that I like to call his comfort zone. We all have it. That's his comfort zone. And at the top is Elisheva, my wife and I. We're very perplexed. We don't understand what's going on, but nevertheless, that's our son. And doesn't really come out nicely, but that's what we would like to achieve. That's our goal. We would like him to achieve his potential. We want him to gain some sort of an independence. We really want him to succeed, but most importantly, we want him to be included in society. We want him to contribute towards society. We don't want him to be sidelined somewhere. And I think that's key to what we're doing. My son has a school, and the school's he had a school. It's a very big building, and lots of people talk to each other, and it's actually quite cold. And there's big quadrangles and lots of glass and lots of echoes and lots of noise. He also has therapists, and he has alternative therapists, and he has alternative therapists, and he has food therapists and feathers. We've had audio integration, we have pills, we have food, we have applied behavioral analysis. We have many therapists, and he has lots of therapists, and each one is valuable in their turn, but they're putting input into him. He also has lots of other people in his life, and they all seem to talk to him with megaphones. He has others, his aunts and his uncles and his grandparents and his friends and our friends, and just cars outside. And he has carers, and these are really good people, because these people really want to help him. And all of these people are just putting input into him. To make matters worse, he also has the general public on the other side that he's meant to communicate with. Really not a simple thing, especially when some of the messages come to him and they get really loud and really garbled. And others come to him the same volume but a different color, and they're all over the show. Some of them come as whispers and just wander around this area, not even impacting on him. And sometimes the parents' messages might touch him, but they get bits and bobs. And this is how I saw him. This is how I saw his life. He became withdrawn in his area, frightened, not able to really have a comfort zone at all, and his comfort zone became more of an exclusion zone. The area around him was excluded to everybody, and we tried to get in, and we tried with the best intentions to get in, but it became an exclusion zone, and that led to what every single parent fears and has. If you come around that way.
That other door?
Thank you. Maybe leave that door open so folks can see. Fear, anxiety, being judged the entire time. There are seats around in the front as well, folks. There's a couple.
Are there dogs in the front?
No.
Of course she got a dog.
Hold on.
We do have a therapy dog in the back of the room, please. It leads to really, he gets judged the whole time. It's very hard for him to succeed, so it actually leads to a very low esteem. And that leads to all those things that we hate so much. The self-mutilations, the violence, becoming withdrawn, the screaming, ritualistic behaviors, and we all know them well. And that's what my son was faced with, and that's what he became. That's how I think we saw him, and he saw himself as cowering away. His chance of actually working with the general public was questionable at best. Probably not, but questionable. His chance of ever achieving those goals was absolutely questionable as well. And that's what we were faced with. We had in our mind something different. I had in my mind to bring into his life a dog, and I'm a believer in dogs, and I've done a lot of research into it, and I liked it. I don't know why, but Linda will explain why. But essentially, I'm going to start again with my son, and this is his life at the moment. This is how we see his life at the moment. He has his comfort zone here, the same as he had before. He has his parents, Elisha and I, still perplexed as all hell at the top there. And he has the same dreams. We haven't changed our dreams for him at all. That is the goal, and it's very important that we have a goal. The minute we don't have a goal for our children, it's done and dusted. We have a goal, and we're going to fight like demons to get to that goal. This time, however, something changed. We brought into his comfort zone a dog with a man, with a therapist, a very, very experienced therapist, who carried a dog on his shoulder. And he arrived to my son with a dog on his shoulder, and he spent his time teaching my son for the first couple of weeks of the program. Before we had even decided to have the program, he was assessing my son. And my son, at first I was amazed. Then he started to question, and in the end started to smile. All of a sudden, there was somebody in his comfort zone with a dog. Not the person, but there was an animal. This animal never judged him. We then brought his own dog into his comfort zone. And got more success. The most amazing thing is with a dog you get success. My son gets success with that dog. It's amazing. The dog grows in his comfort zone. It takes over his comfort zone. And immediately you discover that there's less anxiety, less fear, less frustration, and more success. When he stands in a plot, if the dog has been properly trained, he stands in a point, the situation demands that the dog sits down, the dog sits down. He walks out, the dog's between him and the wall. It becomes easier for him. What happens then is his comfort zone is now extended a little bit. And you know what? We actually got into his comfort zone with him because we were able to talk to him about the dog and be with the dog with him. We were in his comfort zone, and that was an amazing thing for the first time. His carers were still there, the therapists were still there, the educationists in the school were still there, and the person was shouting, wasn't shouting so loudly, but they were still there. All of these people were there, but a little bit closer to his comfort zone, not so difficult anymore. And they all worked together to achieve this. A program was implemented. Now again, this is not just a dog going to do everything. A dog can't do everything. The program around it works. So now, working together with this therapist and alternative therapist and the carers and the parents and the educationists and those people that scream, we get a program. And we talk about the program is now leading to less self-mutilation, less violence, less withdrawal, because he feels more comfortable. All of a sudden, the general public is not so scary anymore. It's closer. It's not so bad. Somebody in the general public is going to talk to you about the dog, and we'll hear about that in a little while. All of a sudden, he's succeeding, and he's getting some increased self-esteem. That comfort zone increases again. Now, the therapists are working in his comfort zone with the dog and getting results. The educationalists are in the comfort zone getting results. The shout is still shouting. I can't help it. They continue to shout. But the general public is even closer to him now. So everybody's closer to him. The therapists are getting better. The general public's getting better. And most importantly, we have a shot at this dream. That is what's important for us. This dream, we can look to now. So essentially that's what we did. And because we understand what autism is, I'm not going to go into the science of it, to get that service dog, to create a bond with someone who doesn't communicate or doesn't have a good cognition is extraordinarily difficult. And you need someone who's been doing it for 20, 30 years, exactly that. And that's exactly what we have with Eran. This is a fellow who's absolutely dedicated to doing this for his entire life, 20 years or so. That's my son on the Melbourne train, by the way, by himself. We established a company. It's a for-benefits organization, which essentially means that an organization which has at our core to assist people. And we have our mission to focus on working with specifically trained dogs within mutually defined programs to assist people at risk to achieve predefined therapeutic goals and to create lasting partnerships that aim to improve the quality of life, enhance independence, and facilitate increase. That's what we're about, folks. I'm not going to go too much into this, but what I do want to say is that is from my perspective. It's a very personal thing about why I got to the business and why the business was set up as a for-benefits organization. and why it was set up with that mission statement. This is what we're about to do. We have one of our team, one of our